Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So today I want to talk about my setup for getting good smooth footage using ReelSteadyGo with a GoPro Session 5. So if you've looked on the ReelSteady site, you're going to see that they recommend using the Hero 6. They say that you can use the Hero Session 5 or the Hero 5 Black or the 7, but you have to kind of do a special mount to do that. But I want to show you kind of what I'm doing, which I looked at their stuff first originally and I was like, I have no idea how I'm going to do that kind of a mount on my drone. I don't have a 3D printer, so I wasn't going to be able to do that. I didn't want to shell out money for a 3D print that may or may not work because I've heard mixed results from that. So I started looking for ways that I could do it myself. And at first I tried a couple of different things that didn't work and was just getting terrible footage and was getting really frustrated with it. And I was like, I'm not gonna waste money on this thing. But you know, I kind of kept tinkering. So when I watched the Rotor Riot video where they talk about using ReelSteady and talk about hyper smooth on the 7, Vandover's comments kind of got me thinking a little bit, and I was like, okay, so it has to do with the vibrations. Let me see what I can do with that. So I came up with this other solution, and it turns out that it worked. At least I thought it did for the most part. So I'll show you a little bit of that down here. I made this video the other day, but then I didn't release it because I found out that it really didn't work as well as I thought it did. It worked about 95% of the time, but not entirely. So as you can see here, basically what I did was I put this stuff here inside my GoPro mount at the bottom of it there where I was sitting the GoPro. And the GoPro mount that I had was the one from Brain 3D, and I took the top and the front off of it and made it basically like a couch. And because of the way that it's made, it's kind of got some give to it. It's got a little bit of flex to it, which that coupled with this got me almost all the way there, but in certain maneuvers and certain situations it didn't. And I'll kind of show you a little bit of those samples here. You can see the footage here that I use ReelSteady on, and you can see the jumps and stuff, the little hiccups there with it. So that didn't work. I thought it did, but before I realized that though, I was talking to GrumlyFPV. He had just put out a video with ReelSteady, and he was talking about making a zip tie mount. And so I shot him a message, and he messaged me back on Facebook and sent me some pictures of what he did. And he got some help from Finky. And by the way, you need to go check both those guys out. I'll have them linked down here. You need to go check their channels out. Awesome stuff. Anyways, so I was looking at what he did, and I was like, I kind of like that. That's pretty cool. And didn't really think that I needed it, but then I got to looking at some other footage and realized that I had some hiccups there with some spots. And I was like, okay, I'm going to give this a go. I'm going to see if I can figure out a way of doing this. So I decided to do that and put together a mount. And then I ran out today at lunch, did some flying, and brought it back. Looked at the footage, and I was like, oh yeah, this is terrible footage, but this should be interesting. Let's see what ReelSteady can do with it. And I'll put some of that footage here. You can kind of watch here, and you'll see some of the jitters and stuff with it. So let me show you what the mount looks like, and then you'll understand why there's some jitters. The shakes are not from the quad, but it looks like they are, but they're not. So they are from the mount. So let me show you. Here's what it looks like. All right. So basically you've got a couple of zip ties that basically make this little sled thing, and then those mount up to the top of there where I've got the GoPro mount, and then of course the GoPro says on it, and you can see, look at that, it like, see the jiggles, jiggle. So that's where those shakes are coming from there. But this isolates the vibrations that cause the problem for ReelSteady. So what ReelSteady does, if you're not familiar, ReelSteadyGo is taking the gyro data that the GoPro embeds into the MP4, and it uses that information to help steady the footage. And the problem is way back, if you remember, in the early days of flying drones and stuff, if you've been around for a while, you'll remember when we had the action cameras on there, we had what we would call a clean plate and a dirty plate. And basically in between there you had these little rubber bobbins that basically isolated the clean plate, which is where the camera sat, from the dirty plate, which is where the rest of the drone was, the main body of the drone, battery, motors, arms, all that stuff. That was basically your dirty plate. And then the bobbin separated it and gave you a clean plate on the top. And then that would isolate the vibrations so that you didn't get jello in your footage. So with all the advancements though that we've made with the flight controllers and being able to better deal with those oscillations, we've gotten to where we can hard mount the cameras onto the drone and still get smooth, jello-free footage. Now, but the GoPro, of course, its software, its firmware doesn't do that, except for the 6. The 6 does. Now, the 6 maybe has a different gyro, and I don't know the hardware specs, I don't know all the ins and outs, but my gut feeling tells me that it's just in firmware, because with the 6 even, you can have the problem if you have the newest firmware, which apparently, I guess, handles that differently. I'm not sure exactly what's going on there, but if you run the old 1.6 firmware on the Hero 6, you're good. If you run the new 2 whatever firmware on the Hero 6, you're going to have most likely bad results. So that's kind of where that's at. So anyways, doing that mount gets you nice footage that you can use with ReelSteady. Now that footage has to be used with ReelSteady because it's going to have bobbles and everything else in it, and it's not going to look very good. If you kind of want an intermediate where it works most of the time, you can kind of do what I did before with the Brain 3D mount, where it's kind of got a little bit of flex, and then you put the foam stuff, in there. And that's just from like the kitchen store, where you get the non-skid stuff is what that is. And basically I just cut a big long slice and rolled it up, and that sits underneath it. It gives it a lot of dampening and keeps the GoPro from sliding around too. Anyways, so that's kind of where all that's at. And now what I want to do is I want to show you what the end result of that is, and hopefully this helps you guys out. But before I do, let me kind of go over what a little more detail here on that. So basically what I've got here is I've got 4 zip ties that wrap around, 2 of them on one other zip tie, 2 of them on the other, and basically I made 2 loops. And then I've got those attached. There is a carbon plate up there that I got from, I think it's from a Wizard 220, but anyways, it's just another flat piece to mount this thing to. And it's got 4 holes in it, of course, and so I ran zip ties through those holes and back around each of the looped zip ties that make up these little sleds. And then I zip tied the GoPro mount to that carbon plate on the top, and then of course you've got your GoPro velcroed in with a strap in there, and that gives it plenty of flex, as you can see. And it's going to shake around, but it gets rid of all those oscillations, and you get nice footage for using ReelSteady. So I did some flying at the local park. I haven't flown in a little while, my old go-to spot, and did a little bit of acrobatics. Somebody was asking about doing flips and rolls and stuff, and yeah, you can. You get better results when you don't do flips and rolls, but if you do them the right way, you can get okay results. And I've got the field of view a little bit wider, which makes it look a little strange in some cases. I think it might be a little bit better with a slightly narrower field of view. That's something you can play with in ReelSteady. Basically just adjust the smoothing. Basically all that's going to do is adjust, not the smoothing, it's going to adjust your field of view. And then you can adjust your cropping speed to kind of slow that down a little bit. That seems to help a lot. Anyways, so hopefully you guys enjoy this footage, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.